It is a week 6 edition of Picks with David. Hey, thanks for joining me. We got another 5 big games to discuss about this weekend, and we'll begin with our first game in Atlanta, where the San Francisco 49ers are coming to town. The Atlanta Falcons have surprised some folks as they've come into the season here with a 2-3 record to begin the season. The 49ers are off to a 3-2 start. And as they come into Atlanta, the Falcons have basically been doing whatever they want when it comes to running the football, especially with Marcus Mariota. He gives the offense in Atlanta a completely different dimension. And as he moves the ball using his legs, it opens up a lot of things in the passing game. Now, Kyle Pitts has not been the big time player that he showed that he could be last year due to a few nicks here and there as far as injuries. London Drake is doing quite well as a rookie receiver, but of course, they don't have Calvin Ridley. He's been suspended for the season due to gambling. The defense has done well, and in fact, if it hadn't been for a bogus, roughing the passer call, there's probably a pretty good chance that the Falcons beat the Buccaneers last week. As for the 49ers, they come into the game a running machine. They've got a lot of good running backs on their team, and although Elijah Mitchell is injured and out currently, they are, basing their running back, the bulk of their running game with Jeff Wilson Jr., the rookie, and he's doing quite well. Now, Jimmy Garoppolo is, of course, at quarterback again for the 49ers. He has an array of players which, for him to get the ball down the field to. Brandon Ayuk is really coming into his own, and of course, you can't forget about Deebo Samuel. Now, Kittle's been hurt for a couple of weeks, but he's been back here recently, and in this game, I expect the 49ers to go all the way across the country and beat the Falcons in Atlanta. The Cincinnati Bengals go to the New Orleans Saints, and both of these teams have a 2-3 record as we proceed here into the season. Cincinnati started the season with an 0-2 record and has battled back to win 2 of the last 3 games, with a disappointing loss on a last-second field goal here recently against the Baltimore Ravens. As for the New Orleans Saints, they have been besieged by injuries, including its starting quarterback with Jameis Winston. I believe Andy Dalton will be starting again in his stead, and now that Alvin Kamara is going to be coming back at the running back position after having a couple weeks with some injuries, they lose Chris Olave, the rookie receiver that has been playing well for them. So, right now, for New Orleans, it's all about whether or not their defense can stop anybody. They gave up a lot of points and a lot of yards against the Seattle Seahawks recently. Also did the same thing against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers after they held their own in the first half of the game. But I just think that the Cincinnati Bengals are improving on their offensive line. And while I can see New Orleans winning this game, I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals to go into the Big Easy and win the game against the Saints. The big playoff rematch between the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. Both teams come in with a 4-1 record. And as we talk about the Buffalo Bills, you can't talk about them without discussing both of these teams, really, their quarterbacks. You got Josh Allen for Buffalo. You got Patrick Mahomes for Kansas City. And the Kansas City Chiefs have knocked the Buffalo Bills out of the playoffs each of the last couple of years. Buffalo feels like they are the favorite, that they have been on the cusp of winning and advancing to the Super Bowl if they could just get by the Chiefs. Now, the Chiefs 2 years ago really roughed them up in the regular season, but Buffalo was able to go into Kansas City and win last year. And so I think they have a mindset that they know they can do it. It's just a matter of avoiding the Mahomes magic. I think that last year in the AFC divisional playoff game, really the difference maker was the fact that the Chiefs had Tyreek Hill. Both teams, really are good, when it comes to majority of their run defense. The pass defense, not so much. Buffalo because of injuries, the Chiefs because of the youth in the secondary. But I think that Buffalo, they just want this game more. I think it means more to them. I'm going to root for Kansas City to win the game, but I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills to go into Arrowhead and win the game on Sunday. The 4-1 Dallas Cowboys at the undefeated 5-0 Philadelphia Eagles. Sunday Night Football on NBC. Now, the Cowboys look like they're going to stick with Cooper Rush at quarterback, and that means they'll continue to rely heavily on that two-headed running game of Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. As for the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts has played quite well thus far this season, having the weapons that he's got in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, getting the ball to Dallas Goedert as tight end. They've got a really good running game between Gainwell and Sanders. Their offensive line is one of the best in the league, but they're going to be up against one of the better defenses as far as pass rush is concerned here when it comes to Dallas. If Dallas has any chance of winning this game, it's going to be because Micah Parsons, you got DeMarcus Lawrence, Armstrong up front. All of those guys have to attack and get to the quarterback. Of course, Hurts is a mobile player, and that's why I think that while Dallas has the edge in probably controlling the clock, running the ball, their offensive line has really started to gel here as the season has progressed. I like Cooper Rush making a play here and there, but I just don't think that they are going to be able to hold up against the Philadelphia Eagles in Philadelphia. And so for that reason, I'm going to take a more talented offense in the Philadelphia Eagles to beat the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. Monday Night Football on ESPN, we got the Los Angeles Chargers coming to town at 3-2 to face off against the also 3-2 Denver Broncos. I misspoke. I should say they are 2-3 in Denver. Chargers are doing what the Chargers usually do. If it isn't for injuries or, just lack of execution, they tend to win the games. Denver has been horrendous thus far this season. They played some, below average teams and have not lived up to the billing thus far. When it comes to Houston, they should have beat the Indianapolis Colts, but they let that one slip away. Kind of the same thing right at the end against Seattle. Up in Seattle, they had a chance to win that game and blew it. I just think that it's going to take a little bit of time with the new system for Russell Wilson and his coaching staff to gel and understand what works best for them. While Denver's got a really good defense, the Chargers have an outstanding offense, one of the best in the league. I think that after this last week with Eckler running the football, they've got their ground game going good here again. And, Denver lost one of their big-time runners in Javonte Williams, so they're going to have to rely heavily on Melvin Gordon. I know they brought in Latavius Murray off the street, and so I'm sure he'll get a lot of action. And even though they're playing in Denver, I just like the Los Angeles Chargers and Herbert to go in there and beat the Denver Broncos on Monday Night Football. That, of course, brings us to our Spotlight Players of the Weekend. And how could it not be the matchup between Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, the Chiefs versus the Bills? Such a big game here. Basically going to determine, at this point, who's going to be the number one seed in the AFC. Both guys have an array of receivers, tight ends, running backs to get the ball to. Can the defense of either one of these teams stop the other? That will be a big question mark here on Sunday. And so there you have it, folks. Another edition of Picks with David for week number 6. I want to thank you all for joining me for another big edition right here. Don't forget to like and subscribe the video. Please comment, leave some information about yourself or how you feel about my picks, whether you think I'm doing a good job or not. And check out this video right here where we talk about how the preseason predictions are stacking up with what's really happening thus far this season. Thanks again for joining me, and we'll see you Thursday for the start of week number 7 on Amazon Prime's Thursday Night Football.